I want to share with you some of my beliefs about education. I believe education is about far more than knowledge transfer. I believe education is about creating self-thinking, critical people. I believe education is about creating people who can answer a question like, am I for or am I against the death penalty? Or why do we live in a democracy? You see, 2 years ago I was still in college and I was studying law at Maastricht University. And at that time I got so fed up with the traditional education system. I was sitting in a lecturing hall and there I was with 500 to 600 other students listening to these one-size-fits-all stories. What I then would do after the lecture is I would go home, I would study by myself, come back to university, and then they would give me an assessment. The only feedback that they would give me is, you are 60 to 70% proficient on this topic. And once we would have established that, they would force me to move on to the next topic. One time I asked my teacher, what's the goal of this system? Or why do we move on to the next topic once we have established that there are certain topics that I don't fully understand yet? And he answered, I will never forget this. He said, because it's the system. We're talking about a university professor who says, because it's the system. Wow, way to inspire. But it wasn't all horrible, because the things that I really liked were when we would turn away from the books, when we would step into a tutorial, and we would always waste the first hour on defining definitions and stuff like that. But then in the last hour, we would start discussing things with each other. We would start arguing with each other. And I believe you learn most from that, the social interaction you get from your peers, where your teacher can facilitate this academic thinking. You see, the reality right now, sadly, is, in higher education, for example, is that we spend so much time on sending out information to our students. We want them to remember what we have told them. And don't get me wrong, it's a crucial element of the educational system. I mean, you cannot expect students to have not some sort of basic knowledge of a certain topic to be able to think about it, right? I believe the educational system consists of two different components. On the one side, you have the knowledge part, and on the other side, you have those higher thinking, critical skills, the ones that make you answer those difficult questions, the kinds that allow you to form an opinion about any topic. Right now, teachers are doing both. They're sending out a lot of information, and they're doing the thing where they are the very best at, creating those self-thinking, critical people, building the imagination of their students. You see, I believe that that's a loss, because we have entered to an era where technology can outform the transfer of knowledge part. When I was in university, there was a professor who would tell me this one-size-fits-all story. We have entered to an era where you can have technology tell every single person in this room a different student, can create a unique textbook every day and adapt it to your personal needs. I think that our teachers are the most valuable in the whole educational system. And I just don't get why we burden them with something technology, for example, could take over. Because if a teacher only has 40 hours in 1 week and he's spending 20 hours on transferring that knowledge, then that's the time that he's not spending on the things that I believe a great teacher, like for example Maya, can do. and that's inspire students and facilitate this academic thinking. So, given this setting, let me give you an example. We're in this beautiful concert hall, right? Imagine we're all in this class with a world-class pianist. And this pianist comes here to teach us a music course. Wouldn't it be beautiful if we all would come in already knowing how to read notes? That person, this exceptional person, doesn't need to be bothered with the basic, but could let us learn or could teach us how to make beautiful music. I believe in these changing times, we need more people who know how to make music and not so much people who know how to read notes. Thank you, that's all.